Today, I'd like to call in Miss Razele Relegano. I could not really pronounce your family name, Madam.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. It is a distinct pleasure to introduce our resource speaker for today, a legal expert whose experience spans crucial areas of law and business. Our speaker is an accomplished attorney, focused primarily on family law and land-related cases, and a duly commissioned notary public here in Davao City. She holds a Juris Doctor degree from Mindanao State University, where she was awarded special honors for academic year 2019 to 2020. She currently serves as the Legal Operations Manager for a foreign jurisdiction law firm where she navigates complex international matters like divorce, custody, and other family law concerns. Beyond the courtroom, she is also a published author with books available at Central Books, including works on labor law, legal fiction, and legal philosophy. Her commitment to community and governance is evident in her role as a legal advisor and committee member for the Church of God Seventh-day Incorporated, focusing on essential bylaws and organizational amendments. Prior to her legal career, she also brought valuable expertise to the corporate and educational sectors, serving as a cashier supervisor for the Robinsons Business Unit of JG Summit Incorporated and sharing knowledge as an instructor at SCI General Santos, teaching subjects like total quality management and economics. She was also a business English consultant and assessor for a Japanese communication company. Ladies and gentlemen, with her diverse background in law, publication, and education, we are truly fortunate to have her share her insights with us today. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to our resource speaker, Attorney Lerca Gipe Patago Valdez.
Hello. Okay. Thank you so much for that very long introduction. And also, thank you. Good morning. Sorry. Good morning, everyone. And it's very nice to see. I thought majority would be women because it's more on lecture and all that. But I'm really happy to see both men and women celebrating, supporting our celebration of Women's Month, which is December. And actually, December is my birth month as well, so it's just fitting.
Happy birthday!
Okay, so again, it's an honor to be with everyone here, especially with SPDA. Actually, when I was invited, I was not in the Philippines. I was out of the country, and I was so late to respond to Ma'am Min because she was si Ma'am Min, and after a good friend of mine, si Attorney Berwar, wife ni Sir Alpier. There you go. So that was the, let me say, communication prior to this event. So yun lang, I'm really happy that we will be celebrating, discussing this RA 9262, 9262, which is Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act of 2004. My goal for this morning is not just to talk about legalese, legal terms, etc. You can check that in Google, like you can search Google for the full text. But what will be, our goal for today or for this morning, or my goal is to understand the law, how you can apply the law within your level. Let's say barangay level, or before you go to court, before you seek your attorneys. So what women and family, relatives, or let's say concerned kayo sa friends ninyo or anyone that you know, what you can do at your level. And then we're going to discuss more about the architecture, the framework, the foundation of the law. Because when you understand the law, you know what's your worth. And that's our goal for this morning. Okay, so the roadmap, or this will be our focus. So we're going to understand first the legal landscape of the law. And then I'm going to focus more on the misconceptions. There are a lot, not just 25 actually, but I just took the most common misconceptions, or let's say justifiers, I would say. I use the word justifier because women thought it's okay. Women thought it's justified. Women thought that it's okay to be yelled at. It's okay to be, I say, threatened, or okay lang yan, common lang yan, mag-asawa lang yan, or let's say it's common in dating relationship, etc. So those are misconceptions or justifiers, and they are incorrect. So that's what we're going to discuss and what we will do in legal layer and in the legal layer, and of course in layman's layer. Okay. Structure of RA 9262, foundation, the macro and micro realities. We say macro happening in our country and micro inside our homes. So ano yung nangyayari inside our homes? Like, we thought it's okay, but it's already abuse. It's already economic abuse. It's already psychological abuse. It's already, let's say, physical abuse. We don't know it's already physical abuse. All right. Other than micro, macro realities, we'll go with the remedies. What we'll do with BPO? Pwede ba? Pwede ba sa barangay captain mag-midi sa cases involving VAW-C? Is that okay? Is that acceptable? And then what we need to gather? Let's say you are already decided to file for BPO. Ano yung mga kailangan natin na i-gather para magamit natin against the abuser? And then 8 would be the VAW-C leave. I'll just go briefly with the VAW-C leave. Ano yung mga, let's say, akala ni employee, hindi pala pwede or pwede pala. So, is it extendable? Is it cumulative? Kumbaga, pwede ba siya untok-untok? Those questions or those let's say, clarifications. And then, of course, key clarification on our coverage or dun sa law. Lastly, we still have time. I'll be open for Q&A or questions and answers. So if you have questions, you can ask me after our lecture. Okay? All right. So since it's Women's Month, it's not just RA 9262, not just VAW-C. We also have other laws that supports women, that helps women. Laws that help women. We have our Magna Carta of Women. So think of it as Bill of Rights ng mga kababaihan. When I say Bill of Rights ng mga kababaihan, because it focuses more on the equality of women. It mandates that the government agencies should provide equal access to services, support services, health access, employment, etc. So that's our Magna Carta of Women. And I think some of you already heard about it. Some may have learned bits and pieces of this law. So we'll just focus on the VAW-C for now. We have Anti-Sexual Harassment Act that prevents power play in our employment. Because there are times, or sometimes it happens, like yung promotion, it depends on the favor. Okay, favor. So if that promotion depends on favor, then the law intervenes. This law intervenes. Another one is our Safe Spaces Act. I think that's pretty modern. It covers from catcalling to online issues. Okay, like solicitations, let's say social media, text messages, etc. So that would apply. Safe Spaces Act. Anti-rape law. This is good because the crime of rape and other other related crimes, it already boils down with consent. It's no longer a crime against chastity, it's a crime against the state. So it's all about the consent. If walang consent, that's a violation of that law. If walang consent, women can seek refuge for this laws. Okay? Anti-Trafficking Act. children and women, they are protected against, let's say mga jobs, offerings outside, abroad, or let's say, mga solicitations na if you, wala masyadong alam sa rights nila, they thought it's okay. And then, it's too convincing, it's too, let's say, parang blessing masyado na, okay, this is good. So the children and women will be, kumbaga, they will accept that offer, but hindi nila alam na they're being trafficked for a more serious circumstances. Okay? And we have Family Courts Act. I've heard some people would say, pag mag-file ng case, it will take years. In some cases, I would say yes. Especially if it's civil cases involving land. But when we say Family Courts Act, the government or the state has this specialized court, which is the family court, usually the RTC. And RTC or the family courts will accept cases focus more on family law matters, such as annulment or cases like involving VAW-C, women and children, custody, support, etc. And those are pretty much, I would say, expedited because as we go along, if for example, nag-file ka ng annulment, usually may cooling period yan, 3 months. Hindi gagana yung kaso because the courts will give the spouses time to reconcile, okay? But if it's tied or coupled with the VAW-C, yung 3 months na cooling off period, hindi na yan mag-a-apply. Expedited na. And that's one of the highlights ng Family Courts Act. But again, I'm not going to focus here, I'm not going to focus on these laws. I will be focusing more on VAW-C 9262. Okay. So, why these laws matter? Okay? One, we have built from real women's experiences. Sino ba dito say, parang naging confidente? Let's say, this is the situation at home, or this is the situation with my boyfriend, with my girlfriend, because VAW-C also applies to same-sex relationship sa mga lesbian. Or, let's say, yung anak ni so-and-so, parang hindi na okay yung pagdisiplina sa bata. Medyo, too much na. Sino dito po? Wala. Secret. Okay. All right. So, okay. We need to understand the why of the laws. Things happen very quickly on a day-to-day basis. We don't really stop to ask why are we doing this. Okay. It's just that for December, we always remember that okay, this is Women's Month. We can commemorate this, let's say, rights and privileges to women. But why are we doing this? Okay. It's because in 2004, we have this census. And based on that census, we have 3 out of 5 women experience abuse. And around 20% of those, let's say, unreported abuse, the women thought they are justified. Those acts or violent acts, abusive acts, they thought those are justified. And so, around 2004, this law was put into writing and was effective. Okay? And as I mentioned, many do not recognize abuse. For example, if someone, let's say, the husband or boyfriend will use his fist and will say, susuntikin kita. Is that abuse or not? Is that covered by this law or not? Yan lang, diba? Just showing his fist or just showing his fist to his kids. Is that abuse or not? Abuse, correct. That's abuse. But some women, they don't think that's abuse because, hindi naman siya na suntok talaga. Hindi nalapat yung kamay sa bata or sa babae, diba? It's just his fist. But that's already threat, okay? And once it's, we will discuss or we'll learn later why yung pagpakita lang ng fist is already covered by this law. We will know later on. And silence used to be normal. That was before. Women thought, let's say, okay lang. Pagtahimik yung household, they thought it's okay. Sometimes yung family, they appear so happy, so let's say close-knit outside, but they don't know what happens inside the homes. And the fourth one is legal protection now steps in where culture fails. Our culture is deeply rooted in patriarchal norms, and that's totally fine. That's totally fine. What's not good or what's not acceptable is when these patriarchal norms, they're being used to abuse women. So there's a fine line, okay? The law is not anti-men, it's actually more on protection. Okay, protection of children and women. And the offender could be both men and women. For example, there's a case, it's a recent case I've just read. It's People versus Knudsen. The offender was the mother. It was filed by the father of the kid. The victim was the daughter. Now, no, the mother filed a motion for reconsideration. She told the court that under VAW-C, only women can file case against the offender. But the Supreme Court said no, because the offender here is the mother and the victim was the daughter. Okay? So even though it was not the mother as the victim, but the daughter itself, but her daughter, and the father filed the case on behalf of their daughter, that's applicable. This law is applicable. Because again, going back to the goal of this law, it always protects women and children. It doesn't matter if it's the mother or the father, as long as it protects the children. The victim is the children, and since the daughter, in that case, is a minor, so the father, as a guardian, filed the case on behalf of his daughter. And so the mother was, her motion for reconsideration was denied. That's what happened in People versus Knudsen. All right, next case. Next case. Next slide. Okay. Foundation of RA 9262. If you go to section 3 of this law, we say any acts or series of acts causing or likely to cause. I want you to focus in this one. Any act. When you say any act, just one act. One slap, one threat, one show fist, okay? Any act, just one, okay? Or series of acts. So series of acts, there's repetition, okay? Repeated, let's say, threats, repeated abuse, repeated yelling, or name calling. Ano ba yung mga name callings na tinatawag natin sa babae? Or against the partner. Kasi sa cases that I handled in a foreign jurisdiction, when we say, I'm sorry for the word, we say bitch, that's already name calling. Let's say the F word, okay?
Balolang.
Balolang, what's balolang? Sorry. Ano po yung balolang? We have another microphone.
Atsapakan o term, ma'am.
Jaffa.
Balolang.
Okay, in Zamboanga, right? Okay.
How about cursing, ma'am?
Yes, cursing, exactly. That's already a psychological abuse.
How about commander, ma'am?
Commander.
Yeah, that's the abuse.
If you say commander, tawagin ito yung mga babae or your wife or your girlfriend. Are you threatened or offended? Are you hurt? Are you in danger?
No.
No. Okay, now, for example, another example. Okay, kasi meron tayong tinatawag na battered women syndrome. Okay? Sino yung battered husband? We have BWS. We will talk about that later. So BWS, there's already years of conditioning. Okay? Women thought that it's okay. Kung tatawagin ng tanga, or gago, or ano pa ba, bubo, gaga. they thought it's fine because it's common. People call other people, those kind of words or those kind of names or labels, etc. So, many years na siya, kumbaga, na-condition na sa utak ng babae na, it's okay, it's common, it's alright. I actually have an annulment case here in Davao. She endured, I will not drop names, but I can share details anyway. She endured those name calling for, let's say, 18 years. She filed the case after her son turned 18. And I asked her, why now? Like, why did you endure so long for 18 years? And she told me like, kasi attorney, ganito, kasi police yung asawa niya. Kasi attorney, hindi ako napagtapos. Ganyan. And I thought, okay lang tawagin tanga or palamunin, because that's the word, palamunin, or on a daily basis, okay? On a daily basis. Kasi may pagkausig din yung asawa niya eh. Parang gusto niya malinis, pagdating sa bahay, nandiyan yung food, yung plato, dapat maputi. All the linens, utensils, dapat puti. That's spotless. So, there's psychological incapacity there. Factors lang yun. And I asked, okay, so are you lazy or what? Ano bang dynamics niya sa bahay? And she was like, I'm a very good housewife. So you have to probe. Kasi anyone will say, I'm a very good person. No one will say, I'm a bad person, di ba? So she said na pagdating sa bahay, inasakaso niya, etc. But it's not enough. All her efforts are not enough. So sabi nang sa lalaki, gago or palamunin ka lang, you're lazy, wala kang pinag-aralan, so you're stuck with me, sabi ng lalaki. And then after 18 years, feeling niya, nawala yung individuality. Yun kasi yung nawawala sa babae, yung individuality. Yung pagka siya before naging kayo. Okay? This is the, like, yung personality ganito. Yung psyche ni babae ganito. But as the relationship, let's say, progresses, nawawala kasi individuality because of mental conditioning, psychological conditioning, because of the abuses she endures. So that happens. So you will go back to that question. If you will call someone this, or if you will treat someone this, is she offended? Is she okay? Does her personality, let's say, been affected? May changes ba sa pagkatao niya? Because sometimes the men and their, let's say, women's, kasi again, VAW-C, pwede siya sa other, type of relationship. Yung, yung kumbaga, sinasabi na, buti pa nung araw, ganito ka, ngayon, nag-iba ka na. So, whose fault yung pag-iiba ng babae? Is it age? Or is it psychological conditioning? Is it the relationship? There are so many factors. But when we say VAW-C, we're talking about abuse. If the woman feels like, I'm not being abused, this is our endearment. Kung tatawagin natin, sabi ni Sir Commander, si wife, tapos tatawagin ni wife si husband. Ano bang tinatawag ni husband na equivalent as commander? General. Boss or sir. If that's your common endearment, that's fine. It's endearment. But let's say, tinatawag mo si commander during your conversation, then you will say, you're such a bitch, or gago ka, or tanga ka, or tanga, or whatever they are. So, that's already, that's already more likely to cause abuse. But we will see, right? Okay, moving forward, causing or likely to cause. Causing physical harm, causing sexual harm, psychological harm, or economic harm, and many more. The IRR of this law has, let's say, enumerated lots of, let's say, acts that are covered, including stalking, harassing, inside and outside of the house, and then isolating women from her friends, from her family, from work, etc. So those are the actual act against the women. When you say likely to cause, ito yung sabi ko kanina, pag mapakita lang ng fist, it's likely to cause. Cause what? What if susuntukin talaga ng lalaki? Diba? Are you going to wait for physical harm? Like actual physical harm? Kasi marami na kong naririnig now, they will go to the barangay and the barangay share or the people there in barangay would say, wala naman na, threats lang man, wala namang pasa, hindi ka naman nasuntok. Ganun. Hindi ka naman nasuntok, hindi ka naman nasampal. So are you going to wait for life and death situation? That's what the law would like to fill. Because there are gaps. There are gaps that we need to have our laws intervene for the women. And of course, we need to understand the law. So, alam ng mga kababayan at bata their worth, okay? What they need to do if they are being in this certain relationship or situation. Okay, that's section 3, and I will go back to section 3. I will refer section 3 as we go along with our lecture. Next slide, please. Okay, as I mentioned, one incident is enough. Series of acts, patterns, yung kumbaga years of conditioning, may patterns na doon. Like, porket, let's say, years na of abuse, verbal abuse, etc., feeling naman ba hindi na kailangan, but actually, they can still file, they can still seek help, okay? They can still go to the barangay, to the courts. Pag sinabi kasi, ano naman parang okay na, normal na tanggapin ko yung mga, let's say, verbal abuse, psychological abuse, or let's say, pag-control ng mga finances because it's been years. So women thought it's okay, but no, it's not. Because patterns matter. And patterns actually really useful for women if yung babae is they will fight or let's say they need to act in a way na nagkakos na din ng harm si babae sa lalaki. And that's the defense of VAW-C. Okay? Because there's a case, People versus Genocide, I'm not mistaken. It was right after this law that was in 2004, Bale, she invoked the defense of battered women syndrome. But the Supreme Court, let's say, denied her request, or let's say, did not agree to her arguments because hindi niya na kumbaga, argue or na prove na she's been through this battered woman syndrome because it's a cycle, it's a pattern, and that is why series of acts is very important. Section 3 is very important because you have to. I mean, as a woman or as a, let's say, a petitioner, if the victim is the minor children or are the minor children, you have to, let's say, describe how this series of acts or patterns will be useful in your case if you're going to invoke battered woman syndrome. Bakit? Kasi if you're successful in invoking this defense, self-defense, you don't have to incur liability, and that's civil or criminal liability. Remember that RA 9262 is a criminal case. It's a criminal offense. So, although, let's say, nag-file ng desistance si petitioner or si victim, it doesn't matter because, again, once the case has been filed, that's against the state already. It's no longer between the offender and the victim. Alright? So, kaya nga, si RA 9262, it's a public crime. It's no longer a personal matter. It's not a relationship issue. It's not about, relationships and all that. It's a criminal action. And say, criminal action, may prosecutorial process tayo dyan. And when you say prosecutorial process, of course, if you go to regular criminal action, it takes time, diba? We have to file our affidavit with the prosecutor. There's an investigation. There will be response, reply, etc. before they will file some court, and then so on. Okay, it's pretty long. But with VAW-C, it's given some sort of special timeline. Kasi nga, it's a lifeline. This law is a lifeline. Hindi natin hihintayin na, let's say, nag-aagaw buhay na yung babae or yung bata. And I want to emphasize that this is not, let's say, discriminatory to men. Because there's this case, Garcia, it's a Garcia. Wait, let me just check. I forgot that case. Garcia versus Brilon. Anyone familiar with that case? I think we have we have attorneys here, right? Yes. Familiar po si Attorney Sa. Okay. So, Garcia versus Drilon, they filed a case. Actually, it's more like striking the constitutionality of this law as discriminatory, as, let's say, violation of the Bill of Rights, the guaranteed equal protection of laws. Kasi nga sabi na may discrimination na sa lalaki. That was the case, Garcia versus Drilon. However, Supreme Court in that case explained that based on, again, 2004 survey ng, let's say, not just the Philippine agencies, but also with the international bodies, mostly women and children are being abused in a relationship. And by far, it's been backed with the reports from the PNP and NBI. And the issue is, yun lang, hindi na-report ng maayos. There was no reports because, again, women thought that it's okay, it's not abuse. But again, the number is concerning. Isipin nyo lang, 3 out of 5 women, 3 women are being abused in a 5 numbers of relationship. So 3 out of 5. It's not even 2, it's 3 out of 5. So sabi ng Supreme Court, no, let's say, women are the usual and most likely victims of violence. And at the same time, Supreme Court considers the disparity when it comes to strength. We know women are this, men are like this. That's already in our physiology, sorry. And also, men usually provides, let's say, for women and children. And sometimes, some of the, providers, they will use that as a tool to control women, control children, and that's already abuse when controlling is too much already. When controlling is no longer dignified. When control is already used as a tool to, let's say, command women to do things that are against her will. That's what we call abuse. Okay? Next. Alright, this is what I've said earlier. We have justifiers. Those are common, let's say, phrases that I've heard from women. Let's start with number 1. This is just between husband and wife. Okay. Narinig niyo na ba to? Nice. Do not intervene. Away mag-asawa lang to. Or let's say yung in-laws, they will hear they will hear their, let's say, yung mga anak nila, yung in-laws, right? Then, yung mga anak nila, nag-aaway. Sometimes, in-laws will try to intervene. Then, sabihin ng mag-asawa, do not intervene, away mag-asawa to. So, what if, ginagulpi-gulpi na ng yung mga anak, yung bata, or ginagulpi-gulpi na yung wife, tapos sabihin ng mga lalaki, do not intervene, this is away mag-asawa, this is a family matter, you're out of it. What does the law say? Okay? Wait, no. Just stay on the side. Okay. The law says anyone can file on behalf of the victim. That means the parents can file, relatives, the lawyer, the SWD, the barangay, and even, let's say, total strangers. For as long as there are 2 strangers with personal knowledge, hindi yung marites, hindi yung hearsay, kundi nakita talaga na pag nakita ko yung si Juan, he chased Maria outside the house with a bolo, etc. That's personal knowledge. Nakita niya eh. Witness siya dun eh. May personal knowledge, may direct knowledge. So that witness can go to the barangay, but we need another one because we have 2. The law requires 2. Okay? If, again, total strangers. So hahanap na ng another witness. It could be another neighbor. They can go to the barangay, they can submit an affidavit, or they can go to the, let's say, lawyer with commission, notary public. They will have a affidavit drafted, and that can be used against the offender. Okay? Now, what else? Okay, VAW-C is a public crime, as I mentioned earlier. When I say public crime, anyone can file on behalf of the victim. Okay? So again, going back to that case that I mentioned earlier, yung victim is yung bata, yung babae, daughter, okay? And the father, of course, has personal knowledge, and the daughter is a minor, she can file against her mom. So the father filed for her daughter para, of course, yung rights ng bata ma-preserve, yung stability. Because the courts will always look at the best interest of the children. Even in the US, it's always about the best interest of the children. Pero iba dun kasi sa kanila, sa US. You can't shout at the kids. You can't, let's say, kasi sa atin ito, let's say, physical discipline or say, ang tawag nila, yung parang, very, corporal, yes sir, that's correct. Corporal discipline, that's accepted, di ba, sa Philippines. I grew up, paano ba, kneeling sa, coarse salt. Yun nga, yung ano ko, yung discipline ni, ng parents. I grew up kneeling sa floor with salt, coarse salt before. Kasi that's normal sa Asian households, right? But in the US it's not acceptable. It's actually punishable. Pwede siya may TPO tawag doon, may let's say custody battle, and the mother or the father can be, let's say, totally be stripped of his or her custody rights. Pero sa Philippines, di ba? Again, it has something to do with our norms and our culture, etc. But going back sa RA 9262, it's a public crime. So anyone can just report. Let's say, if you heard someone's being abused, you can report it to the barangay, to the police, etc. Okay? And we have the courts, police, barangay, state, they can intervene. Again, no mediation is allowed. When it comes to RA 9262, all acts, pag may ma-report, bawal ang mediation, bawal ipagbati ang husband and wife or the kids. Those are non-negotiable. Okay, non-negotiable. Next slide, please. Oh yes, bawal arento. Bawal arento talaga. I can't leave, the kids need a father. Very common. This is an emotional trap, psychological trap as well. Diba? I can't leave because the kids need a father. We have a stigma na pag, mag-file ng case si girl, the relationship, diba, will be affected, broken na. Yung mga in-laws will come into play. There will be comments here and there, even neighbors, etc. That's very common. So, what do you think a woman should do if, let's say, you heard someone na, hindi ko maiwanan kasi, kailangan ng father figure or kailangan talaga yung father. You have to think that, kumbaga, which should prevail? Safety of your kids and yourself, or just because you wanted to have a, family, buong, kumbaga, may katawag ng, parang, kumbaga, buong family, is that correct? Kumbaga, hindi siya broken family. So, we should prevail. Safety and security, or that stigma, or that, let's say, empty illusion, or, just an illusion na buo ang family ninyo. So, that's something that you have to consider. Next, please. Okay, he'll kill himself if I leave. Is this working? Can I ask someone to just, okay. Kasi nakikita ko, hindi na nakikinig yung iba eh. So I'll ask questions as we go along. He'll kill himself if I leave. What kind of abuse is that? If, natin dyan? Ipasa-pasa, isa-isa. Okay, sir, yes. What do you think? What kind of abuse if the man would say, I'll kill myself, if you leave, I'll hurt myself?
Psychological abuse.
Correct, psychological abuse. Now, let's pass it to the next person. Yes, sir. What do you think a woman should do if her husband, boyfriend will tell her that I will kill myself, magsusuicide ako, etc. I will, jump to the bridge.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. That is a very most common emotional trap, right? Okay, reverse psychology. Okay. Okay, quick question. Did that work? May mga experience ba that I have heard from friends maybe? But actually, reverse psychology is good. Because again, this is psychological trap, right? Okay. Thank you. So again, we have section 5 of the law. Okay. If the abuser threatens self-harm or inflicts psychological harm or emotional harm, because this could be emotional harm as well, psychological and emotional harm. Okay? If that happens, yung sabi ni sir na, oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, kill yourself if you want, then punta ka na kaagad sa barangay or sa court. Report agad. Yung babae. Okay, yung babae. Yung babae mo report. Report yung babae na ganito yung ginawa sa akin. Or let's say, go to the police, have a blotter filed, submitted, etc. That's part of your case in the future. Para hindi na maulit-ulit.
Para po mag-claim na ng benefits.
Claim ng benefits. Actually, we have in our laws, like, if, let's say, when you talk about benefits, if ever si babae, nasaksak niya yung lalaki, because again, self-defense, right? Usually, pag ang offender or ang accused, they are, let's say, stripped of their civil rights. And that includes yung pag-claim ng benefits. But in this law, it's different. Because the women are not the abuser, but the victims. They can still they can still claim benefits if the husband may benefits. So that happens. Very good ang VAW-C. Again, imagine. Okay, just imagine. Si wife, let's say, arguably nga, kumbaga, she invoked successfully BWS self-defense. So she did not incur any criminal liability or civil liability. Tapos si lalaki namatay, knock on wood, namatay. Then si lalaki may benefits. The wife can claim benefits, although she killed the husband. Because again, invoke, okay, successfully, I want to say successfully invoke BWS, si ang court, okay, there's investigation, presentation of evidence, there's a case, there's due process. Okay, hindi siya automatic na, okay, pinatay ko yung asawa ko, I can claim the benefits. No, it doesn't have, it's not automatic, okay? It's not automatic. Okay, there's, kumbaga, application of the laws, hindi yan siya nawawala just because you invoke VAW-C. Because some women, kasi may mga tawag dito, mga bitch type din, they will use VAW-C, they will use VAW-C against their husband or against their boyfriend, pero wala palang VAW-C doon. Unfair din naman sa lalaki, di ba?
Tama ma'am, tama.
Unfair sa lalaki. That is why, okay.
Some relatives of mine are victims of this.
Tama daw.
Saan yung microphone? Ipasa natin kay Doc. So, there are times na, okay, maybe si Doc can share some of the...
Ilabas mo, Dok. Imagine mo, namatay na yung babae pa mag-claim, pinatay na niya.
Hindi, dalawang pamangkin ko talaga.
Okay,
Mababae.
sige, yes please. So what happened
Actually,
sa
personally, I know two relatives of mine na mga lalaki, sila ang sinasaktan ng mga asawa nila.
Oh, okay.
Dahil sa VAW-C nila, tapos sinasaktan ng mga lalaki, tapos sila pang nag-report sa mga polis. Sa battered husband.
Ano pipiliin niya, Dok? Dok, ano pipiliin niya? Yung itim na doon sa asawa.
Hindi ba nag-report sa kasi yung lalaki, they can always file cases under RPC, Revised Penal Code.
Pwede pala.
So, pwede. Kaya nga, fair. Yes.
Tanong ko lang kay Joey, bakit sila binugbog no?
Sige. Sir, bakit naman kasi BWS yun?
Siguro matagal umuwi sa bahay. Tapos chuli na nang dumating. Ikulata. Kasi nag-video kita ba? Tapos hindi nakaluto sa bahay.
Kulang na sa asawa.
Sino ang takot sa asawa? Sorry. Sino ang takot sa asawa?
Lahat.
Lahat? Oh, okay. Dapat pala na nag-invite to all men and all women dito para we can have a very nice debate. Okay, but thank you. But again, just to clarify, women have VAW-C, men have RPC, revised penal code. You can file physical injuries.
Meron pa isa.
Yes.
Animal Welfare Act.
Bakit? Animal ba yung yung party?
Kasi pag mag-aaway ang mag-asawa, sabihin ng babae,
Animal.
Animal.
Sino naka-experience nun? Sorry. Sabihin. Oy, bawal yan. I can file, RPC, something. That's unjust fixation. Ganun. Anyway, sige, thank you. So, going back, okay, psychological and emotional abuse. Okay, and exposing children to this type of threat or this type of abuse, it's very dangerous for kids. Why? Kasi, there's this wrong sense of normalcy. Akala ng mga bata that's normal. So kung ano yung dynamics ng family within that household, that will be passed on to that child. And yung mga bata, they will have this, let's say, certain age, 1 to 3, they need attachment sa parent, at least one adult, 1 to 3. 4 and 7, nandiyan na yung growth nila. Kung ano yung na-observe nila, naririnig nila, that will be part of their psyche. Okay? And that is why we have so many psychologically incapacitated men and women because of the dynamics at home. Okay? They have this dynamics and they kind of absorb that as normal. And kasi normal, nagiging toxic sila in return. As they grew up, they thought that these actions are acceptable. Tapos napapasa. So it will be a cycle na. Okay? Instead na mako-correct yung mali, akala ng bata, that's fine. So I will act this way. And because tingin niya violence is very normal, then he will do that as well sa kanyang asawa at anak in the future. And that is wrong. And that's very dangerous because again, itong bata na to, mag-aasawa, din gagawin niya sa pamilya niya, yung pamilya, may anak, pasa. So what happens in the future, right? So ganyan yung, kumbaga, danger cycle pag hindi natin na-cut or na-end yung violence inside the home or in our country. Okay, next. If I report, he'll take the children. Okay, what type of abuse is this? Is it an act of violence or is it just an empty threat? Is this covered by the law? Sana yung microphone natin. Can we, dito naman sa kabila, kasi tapos na yung dito, pasa rin yung after. Okay, number 4. Yes, ma'am. So, is that an act of violence? Psychological, no? Psychological violence. Good, that's correct. And what we will do? Anong gagawin? Follow-up question. Okay. Theoretically, sasabihan ni lalaki si babae na, okay, I'll take the kids. Layas, the kids will remain with me. Okay. What do you will the kids? Sorry, what's that again?
Bigay lahat ng anak.
Ibigay lahat ang anak. Okay. What if abusive ang lalaki sa mga kids also?
Do not take the kids.
Do not take the kids. Okay. What does our law say? Our law, okay, RA 9262 says we have, okay, again, BPO, TPO, and PPO. Barangay protection orders, we will discuss that later. That's for immediate, let's say, immediate remedy if there's a physical abuse. There are threats. Okay, papatayin kita, susuntikin kita. Okay, we don't wait for the actual physical harm to happen. You can report that to the barangay. And the barangay will issue the BPO on the same day that you reported that abuse. Okay? And what does BPO include? Ano yung remedies? Ano yung nakapaloob dun sa BPO? You can ask for the barangay or escort to take your kids out of that house, take your belongings with you, go to a safer place. That's part of the BPO. That's issued the same day that you reported that incident to the barangay. That's BPO. Now, what if you want custody? Because BPO is just for 15 days. So you will go for PPO, okay, protection order. Sa court na yun. I'm sorry, TPO, temporary protection order. Because that's valid for 30 days, okay, renewable until the case is closed. So sa TPO, you can request custody. You can request support. What type of support? Spousal support, child support, okay? And you can request for distance from the abuser. That's TPO. But the immediate one is the BPO because it's more on the harm, it's more on the, let's say, the threats, just the physical harm. Okay, BPO, physical harm. But when say psychological, he'll take the children, you'll go for TPO and request for custody. You can do that. So, for example, iniwan yung bata kasi nga you run for your life because again, it's a lifeline. Naiwan yung bata. And then after 15 days, na-issue yung TPO. And let's say sa TPO, nandun yung temporary custody ng bata. Then you can use that to get the kids out of that house. Okay? And again, pag nandun na yung issue, pag nandun na yung order, na-issue na yung order, violation of that order is contempt. Alright? So, hindi matatakot yung babae na, okay, sige, aalis mo na ako, but file a TPO. After the TPO, get the kids, then you'll have your kids with you. Okay? Next slide, please.